Alrighty everyone, welcome back to the live stream. We are once again working on our Freedom Tracker. We're going to be grinding out Freedom Tracker for a little bit longer here. Next week, I'll be able to stream on Monday and Wednesday. I actually have a plan for Monday's stream for once. I'm not just going to be winging it. Wednesday will probably be on Freedom Tracker again. And then I'll be off stream Friday and then probably Monday, Wednesday again. The week after, we have family coming over, so I won't be able to live stream on those days. Then on Friday, we'll probably either be gaming or we'll be back to Let's Build Twitter. And then the cool thing about being back on Let's Build Twitter is that means that like we're on the final leg. I don't think there's that many like big pages left. There's just a lot of small stuff that we need to clean up basically. I want to clean up the views again. I know we've cleaned up the views twice now, but I want to clean it up once and for all. And then there's some like random odds and ends. And then maybe just go bug hunting and stuff like that. But basically, Let's Build Twitter should be wrapping up this year. Thank God. Because we've been going on forever. But as you guys can see on the right side of the screen, I got our text components working. I just kind of threw them in our index page. Now, what would be really cool is by the end of this episode, if we could get to the point where we basically can start building a hero component to go on our index page or like our login / sign up page. Like that's what I would really like to get to. We won't be able to hit our mock anymore. We'll have to like tear up also our other index page. We'll have to tear up this one is the public index, I guess, which is interesting because we're in mock, so it shouldn't show the public index. It should automatically navigate us to the other place. So that's interesting that the mock isn't working, but I digress. Anyway, so now inside of our design system, we have our layout, and then I guess these are also supposed to go in layout. And maybe instead of putting this in layout, I put this in like a components / primitives and then go from there. Cause like, unless I wasn't supposed to call this one was also supposed to be called, let's see. Maybe these were also supposed to go in layout as well. I'm not sure. I don't remember. So like maybe, so text stays in components. I think we're gonna move box to layout as well. And then we'll have our background gradient, our page container, our screen, and then go from there. There's gonna be some changes we need to make. Oops, there's gonna be some changes we need to make for sure. I'm just gonna delete these because we're not using them anyway. Anyway. So we'll keep text and components in layout. We'll go ahead and also bring in box / types.ts and then box.tsx. I probably could have just called this like index. Although I don't know how React Native really works, but I probably could have just called this index and called it a day, but it is what it is. Now, I'm a little bit concerned about the background color because, well, I guess it's optional. They're using just a straight up color. I don't know that, I don't know that we're going to use a background color. We're gonna use a background color, but I don't know that we're gonna use a color. We're gonna use one of those off-surface gradients. So maybe what we do is we have like a check that says if gradient or if like color or something, and then we can kind of switch that way. We'll see here. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and start our types. We'll import our theme from our, and then this is coming from // theme / types, and then we're going to say type spacing is equal to our key and we'll see if this typing is actually going to work this time as well, because the typing for our text was not working at all, so that was fun and we had to kind of go off the fly. Color will equal to key of, and then theme, and then here. So this kind of scares me because there is like background off surface, but I think what we could do is we could check to see like if color is equal to like whatever. So this might actually end up working. Then we'll export interface and our box props. This is going to extends view props like so. Let's go and import this from React Native, and then this will have whoopsies, there we go, padding, which would be an optional of spacing. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and have padding horizontal, and this is going to be an optional spacing. Sorry that I can't type this morning. Padding vertical. Once my hands get beat up from work, once my hands are like tired from working, they kind of don't type very well anymore, and I've had a long week. So then we'll have our background color, and we can kind of annotate this. So I guess this is our padding values. We can annotate this guy. This is our margin values. I'm surprised that it's only got margin and not margin vertical. Maybe margin vertical doesn't exist, I don't know. But then we can also do our color values like so. Color values will be just background color question mark, and that'll be a color, which will be interesting to deal with, but it is what it is. And then we'll do alignment values, right? And then here we'll go ahead and have flex question mark, which is a number. That's the biggest thing that's always tripped me up with this React Native stuff so far, is dealing with the flex stuff. Then we'll have align question mark, which will go ahead, and this we could probably be more diligent with, because we could use the like style values or style. Let's look at our text. Like we could probably be more diligent with this, where we have our, I guess I'm not using it now. Okay, never mind. We were using it, but I guess we took it out. Yeah, text style. Like we could probably use like, maybe it's not called text style. I'll have to get up in a second. Whatever, I'll just do it this way. Flex dash start. I just know there's a more efficient way to do it. I just can't remember how it was that we did it. Center have flex dash end, and then stretch, and then we'll have our justify. Here we'll go ahead and also have a flex, maybe flex start, or a center, or a flex, oops, maybe flex end, or a space between, and then finally we'll have our space around. Trying to listen to see if I hear my daughter or not. I don't think I do. Okay. And then finally we'll have a row, question mark, which is a Boolean. This would be like if we're gonna stack it or put it side by side. Okay, so that is all of that. Now let's build the box component. Now inside of box.tsx, we're going to go ahead and import our React from React. Whoops. And then also import our view, if I could type. Oh my goodness. View from React Native, and that's all we need for this one. Let's go ahead and import our use theme. Use theme, make sure it comes from our design system, not React Native's design system. We'll also import our box props like so. And I'm pretty sure we could have just called like all of these index. It just gets a little bit confusing when you don't really know where they're coming from, I guess. But export const box is equal to, and then this is going to be like our primitive like view component, more or less, that we're going to use around in different places instead of using an actual view. So our padding for horizontal, our padding vertical, and we could have really done one of these react.fc pass in the box props and then did that, and this will kind of give us more typing as well. And then margin, we'll have background color, and then we'll have flex, we'll have align, we'll have justify, row, style, and then the rest of the props. Because the props extends a React Native like view prop thingamajig. Okay, and then inside here we'll have our const theme equal to use theme. This should go ahead and get us all of the data and information we need. And then let's go ahead and return. Inside the return, we'll have our view. And inside here, we'll have our style equal to, and then this is where things get a little bit crazy. So flex, we're going to go ahead and pass the flex that we have, and it could be undefined. It might not be. Flex direction, we'll say row question mark. If that's the case, we'll set it as row. Otherwise, we'll set it as column. I think for React Native, the default is always column, just because obviously you have more vertical space than horizontal space. So then we'll check the padding, say theme.spacing, and then pass in this padding because it should be fine. Otherwise, undefined. Make sure it's fine with that. I think it is. Now, I don't know why flex direction is mad. Oh, it's because we forgot to wrap this inside another object. So let's make sure this is all fine. Okay. I think it's happy now. And I think this is just mad because we don't ever close out of the view. There we go. Terrific. Cool. So now we have padding. And then we can go through the rest of these. So then we'll have padding horizontal. And we'll check for padding horizontal question mark. And then if this is the case, we'll go ahead and say theme.spacing, and then we're going to go ahead and put in that padding horizontal. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and say undefined. Okay, and we'll come down here and say padding vertical. And this is kind of yucky, but it is what it is. So padding vertical question mark. Here we'll say theme.spacing, And then we'll go ahead and pass in that padding vertical. Again, I don't know why we don't have other margin. I don't know why it's only margin on all sides. So that might be something I go back and change a little bit. But I think a lot of times you don't even really want to use margin. You primarily want to use padding when you can. So I guess it might not matter in the long run. I have our margin, and margin will be margin question mark, and then this will be theme.spacing, pass in margin. Otherwise, if it doesn't exist, we'll undefine it. And then we'll have our background color. Now background color. Okay, so background we need to do slightly different. So what we're gonna have to do for background, we're gonna have to resolve the background color. Const resolve background color. And we're going to check to see what the key of background color is, because the gradients aren't going to work. So like we're going to have to use basically a background gradient if we want to do and let's just go into our themes or our theme types to kind of see this. So like we have our colors right, and we have our background offset, and then this, and this also, this is going to be a little bit complicated as well, because really we yeah, this is going to be a challenge, because really it's going to need to be colors of offset, surface, background, light, this, or surface. Like, and we're not going to be able to do like icons or anything. So like what we're actually going to do is it's going to have to be a key of color, or it's going to be a key of color surface. And we're going to check to see which one that is. So this is what I was saying. I think box is going to get, this is going to get a little bit confusing. Like this is going to be key of colors, or this is going to be like, instead of key of colors, it's going to be like key of colors of surface. And then we're going to say like, or it's going to be what's the other options? It's like off surface dark or something. Let's double check this. So if we go back into our theme, this is where things are going to get messy. Yeah, it's like off surface background light, or off surface background dark. This is where things are probably going to start breaking down type wise. So we'll have off surface background light as, so we might have to do like something like this. So we might say like type off surface background light is equal to, and then this off surface, of course, off surface background light as key of, and then say like theme colors or something. Yeah, and that's not gonna like that. So what we might have to do actually is say like, we'll either have key of theme, and maybe we do this. Let's just say, let's grab our off surface. Let's just do this, and then we'll check to see what it is, and hopefully it works. And we can just like key of whatever. So the only thing that's gonna suck, you know, we'll just force it. We're just gonna force it. Okay. So go back into our types. copy this again. We'll full send it here. This is going to be my worst nightmare in a second. But I think we're gonna just deal with it, because we only want to put like surface colors in there, I think, or off surface colors. And then the problem with our off surface colors is they're actually a background gradient. So then we're going to like resolve kind of like how this component works a little bit better. So let's go back into our box. That's why things are gonna get a little bit confusing. So what we're going to do is going to have a const, and then we'll set up some state to check to see if this is a whatever. So basically what to be like we'll say like gradient background, and set gradient background equal to use state. And then I don't know if we want to call this a Boolean. I don't even know what this would be, but it'd be something or undefined basically. Let's see here. And then the problem we're gonna have is this needs to be instant. So this is gonna be interesting for sure. So we're basically gonna have to have two options here. This is getting off the rails already. We're gonna have to generate the style and then do some other stuff. But if we look back inside of our theme type, okay, so it's a theme background gradient. And is that what our background gradient takes in? It's just a theme background gradient. So it takes in a style, which is a view style. It takes in the variant, and then the tone. So we just need to store what it's called, and we can kind of break it down from there. I don't remember what style does, unfortunately. Oh, that's just the style to put on it. Okay, that's fine. The variant is going to be background or surface. That's simple enough. Okay. Cool, cool. So basically, this is going to be a string. Or undefined. Start as undefined. Let's bring in useState from React. Okay. So there's that. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to check what our background is. Right? So then what we'll go ahead and do, and this is going to be fun. We're going to go ahead and say if the background color and background, this is going to be kind of ugly, color is equal to off surface light. We can even just say contains or includes. That includes, and then off surface, because this is the only one that's going to contain off surface. So if this is the case, then we can go ahead and return. Although we need to, I guess we need to know which off surface. Because if it's an off surface light or dark, we need to set up the tone and some other stuff. So like what we really need to do, trying to think about how we want to do this. So we really would need like a render function, like a render outer box or something, or render container. And then it does the work for us. Let's set up that render function, that render container function. Const render container. Okay. So basically we're gonna check to see we need to see one, are we guess we can just continue taking in the children, right? And this is interesting, because this box hasn't actually taken any children. Probably because the stack uses the box, maybe? No? I want to see an example usage of this box. Like, we're not even actually using the box inside of... I guess box does take in children. It's interesting because there are examples of like using this box primitive. They're not even using the actual box in implementations, which is interesting to me. Like the stack, they're just using something else. It's like, that's interesting to me. Yeah, and this got really sloppy. Okay, anyway, let's continue working on this, and then we can kind of do a stack later. I'm going to copy really quick the different components that we need to build after this. We need to build the stack. Row. Spacer. Center. And that's it. Okay. Sure. Okay, so what concerns me about this box is that they're not actually passing like any children in here. Like, I would expect you to have like props.children rendered in this, right? Since this is like a layout component. Now the question is, we don't really need this render container, because like really what we need to do is we need to set up like a const and box style. Maybe like a type, or const base styles, maybe equal to, and then set this up, return an object, and then we want to return like these base styles here. I'm going off the cuff now. Okay, so now we have these base styles and there's more margin. We're gonna skip the background color here, and then we'll go ahead and align items. It's gonna go ahead and be align. Hiccup, excuse me. We're gonna justify content, and this will be justify. Make sure we don't miss anything. I think we already put flex on it. Yeah, flex. I'm gonna put flex up here with this stuff. Or actually, I like to kind of put my padding and spacing at the top. This is all just personal preference, but I'm gonna put all my flex stuff together, basically. So this is like our basic styles. And then we'd also like pass in like whatever. And then what we'd have to do is say like if our, then we'd basically check like if our background color is equal to, then we can just check includes, I guess. If background color includes, we can say if background color and background color dot includes, we can go ahead and see if it includes off surface. If it includes off surface, we need to return one thing, otherwise we return another thing. So if it returns off surface, we want to return a background gradient, and then we need to kind of figure out like how to deal with the background gradient. And then the background gradient would have like, we need to do like our children and stuff. So then we'd have like our children. And then I don't know how we're gonna deal with props.children. I don't know how we're gonna deal with the other stuff, but we'll kind of deal with that because we have other props to pass in as well. And this is missing properties. So now variant. We need to figure out the variant and stuff. And then I don't know why children showed up again. We also need tone. Variant and tone. We'll need to kind of figure that out as well. We can set dark, sure. And we can pass our children. Now the only thing, or do we pass the background gradient inside of the view? How are we using our background gradient? In here, let's see. We have our index. We just have a screen. Okay, that doesn't help us. Our underscore layout. Okay, so it's in our screen component. In our screen component, it is the base. So, like, I'm wondering if we I'm trying to think about how we want to do this. I'm wondering if we do something similar to this, where we have this like content and then view blah blah blah, all of this. Or we kind of do something like this. And this got complicated because of the way that we're setting up this. If we weren't trying to use because we need to basically say like what is our, so I don't know if fragments work. We do basically need, like, I'm wondering if we don't do, like, I'm wondering if we don't do a instead of doing const styles, we don't do like a content. Equal to this, and then do what we were doing. Similar to that other one. So instead of having these base styles, we don't care what the base styles are. And then what we do is like check to see if it's a gradient, if it's an off-surface background. Const like is off surface, and we can even just check to see if it includes inside the return, right? So like inside the return, we could just do one of these. No, we're all over the place here. Like we could just do one of these checks and be like, I'm not sure how this is gonna 100% work. This is gonna be kind of weird. But we could say like, we could do the same thing again, background, color, and background color dot includes, and then I don't know why we need a question mark there. Better check for background color, but whatever. Includes off surface. And if this is the case, then we would do our background gradient. The only thing is we need to calculate, you know, this different stuff, and then we can pass in the props.children. Actually, we'd pass in content. Like so. I think we have to call that function maybe. And it's mad at us right now because it's not returning any like JSX. But then this would actually return a view, or our view, I guess. And it's also mad at us because it doesn't have the attributes that we need on it. So then we'd have our variant and our tone. Go ahead and do this. Add the tone in there. And we can just put dark for now. That's fine. So that would be kind of like that. And then otherwise, what we'd have is just the content, I guess. And it does not like that. I don't know if you can wrap this in a fragment or not. So that'd be kind of like best case scenario. You can't do that, or it's just mad about this. Let's double check this, see what's going down here. Okay. I don't know if return. This might have to be all wrapped inside of something. That's the issue. Okay, fragments do work, so that's good. I think I like this. Because then we'll either render just the content, which will be a view, or we'll render the background gradient, and we won't have any extra styles. Now, how this background gradient is going to behave with this view, I don't know. But I don't think, like, I think we literally just made this background gradient just take up the entire space. I don't think it has, yeah, it just fills the entire area. Now, what kind of scares me is it has it's relative and stuff, but like maybe it's fine. I think it just takes up the entire space of our area here. Okay, so now we basically need to figure out like which tone and gradient it needs to be. So if we come back into our box, 1, we need to do our content, and 2, we need to do our variant and stuff. So we can say const and let's see here. If this is the case, let's just go ahead and say like a const theme is equal to, or const variance. Variance always going to be surface. So we need to just do the tone is equal to background color dot, and then background color, and at this point we know it's off surface. We can say is equal to off surface background light, sure. And then we can just go ahead and, if this is the case, say light. Otherwise we can say dark. And then we can go ahead and pass in the tone here. And then we should have our tone. Okay. And then now we need to deal with the content. Except we don't want to do this. We do want to say const tone like this. So const tone and set, and we can probably say tone is equal to, this is probably overkill. Oh my goodness. Use memo. And then inside use memo, we could watch the background color to change. And then we can say if our background color and background color dot includes off surface again, like so. And like we could have done what the container was as well. Like we could probably clean this up. We could probably do like a const container and do something similar and clean up the return. Although it is what it is, I guess. At that point, we might as well just do what I was doing up here and have like a const container. Like I might as well do this then. I know we're all over the place, I'm sorry y'all. We can have our content and then we can have a container. Then we can have const container is equal to this. And then inside container, we'll just say like if our background color and background color dot includes off surface. We haven't even gotten to the fun part of dealing with the type errors yet. We're just still trying to figure out infrastructure at this point. Then this would basically take in children, they react node, and we'll just call this, we'll say props. Whoops. Props are children react node, right? And then if it's this, then we want to get the const tone is equal to, we can do what we were doing again, background color dot, or background color is equal to off surface light, sure. And if that's the case, the tone is going to be light. Otherwise, the tone would be dark. And then we can go ahead and, whoops, return this. And then we can return this guy and pass in the children. Like so. This is a little bit messy, but it is what it is. And then otherwise, we'll just go ahead and pass in fragment. And this will basically do the exact same thing as what we were doing below. So then what we'd have is we come in here and get rid of this part. And also get rid of this return that just has like a fragment basically. And it's gross. And then we'll basically just say container. We might say, and we might just call this container uppercase, like so. So we can do something like this. It looks nicer. But basically we can say container, open this up, and then we can go ahead and have our content. Like so. And does it want us just to return? Oh, we don't have a return. That's a problem. Return. Fix this. Paste it. Okay. There we go. So now we have like our view content, then our container, and then we'll just pass in. Now, I'm a little bit concerned about this, but I'm sure it's fine. And now what we can do is we're going to have some issues with our actual background color itself, but we're going to have to deal with that. Because here's the thing, React Native's not going to be smart enough to know. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I wasn't super focused. My sticky notes. I was copy and pasting some stuff earlier, and my sticky notes were over chat. I'm just a bad streamer. I am focused, but I'm just also a bad streamer. Okay, so then we have our actual content. So either we'll wrap the entire content in a background gradient, or we'll basically have like no styles around it. We'll just return this view. I'm sorry that I'm a bad streamer. Okay, and like, here's what concerns me. I guess that's probably why it's just saying dot 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 props outside the style, I guess, because it's just going to take in the rest of those. So that makes sense, I guess. So the view, the content is just going to be a view that opens and closes. Sorry, Zena. No, that's my bad. I'm a horrible streamer. And you should definitely just never support me again. Okay. And then inside our style, we get a restart is what I was working on. Flex direction, row, question mark. Then we'll have our row or column. You came in like you had to have come in like right after I was copy pasting stuff into my sticky notes. Because I literally copy pasted it like not that long ago. So that was just bad timing. Padding, question mark, and then this will be theme dot spacing of padding. I actually want to say padding. Oops. Welcome to the shit show. Padding horizontal. I'm just making things up. Well, I'm not really making things up. I just don't know what I'm doing. Theme dot spacing of, and then padding horizontal. Otherwise, we'll go undefined, and that's actually add some space here. Or undefined, there we go. Okay, and then padding vertical would be, and I messed up, this one should be padding horizontal. Okay, padding vertical, question mark, theme dot spacing of padding vertical. Otherwise, we'll do undefined. And then after this one, after padding vertical, say margin. And then, so here's going to be, I guess this is why I was going to do things differently. Okay, what we're going to have to do is going to have to resolve the background color as well. but we'll deal with that. Margin will be theme dot spacing. Did I do this one? Also needs to be colon undefined. There we go. Okay, this will be theme dot spacing margin, otherwise undefined. And then we need to resolve the background color. Const resolved bg is equal to. So now we need to check to make sure that it's not the background gradient. So like, how do we want to do this? Say const resolve bg is equal to a function. We'll say if not background color, or if we have a background color and the background color dot includes, and it includes off surface. So if one of these, we're going to return undefined, and it's probably going to be cleaner to do it this way. So if we have a background color, we don't have background color, or the background color is off surface, we're going to return undefined. Otherwise, we're going to return our background color as key of, and then we're going to say theme of, whoops. We're going to see if this works. Theme of, theme dot, okay, cool. Not going to work. Maybe type of, key of, theme dot colors dot, and then surface. Maybe type of, nope. I knew this was gonna happen. Because it's gonna be mad at me because here's what we're gonna try. Here's what's gonna happen. Right? What's gonna happen is this. I guess what we want to do is say theme dot colors dot surface of our background color is what we really want to do, but this is gonna be mad at us because background color isn't this. So that's why it's like as key of theme I think what we did last time is we had to do something like let me scroll down in my chat and see how they're having us do the text. Yes, so they had like return type of use theme colors. So like how do we want to do this? So what if we say key of return type of use theme, and then I'm going to say const bg key is equal to background color as key of I don't know if it's going to work either, but return type type of. See, the thing is, if this was just regular JavaScript, this would work 100% of the time. I don't have to worry about this, but theme, now we're mixing colors and then surface. Let's see if this happens to work. No way. I'm a prodigy. Just kidding, this is absolutely disgusting. But now, if the background color is an offset off surface, we're going to render our background gradient, so we don't care. We'll just return undefined. Otherwise, we're going to return the theme from our surface colors. Okay, that seems fair enough. Let's scroll up to where we were implementing this guy. Okay, let's see. Back to our box. So now we just have our background color. So now background color, we simplified a lot. Background, background color is just going to go ahead and be resolve bg. And then it'll either be undefined or whatever. And I think that's it. And then we can pass in whatever style gets passed as well. We can customize this. If I could type, oh my goodness. Whatever style gets passed in here. And then outside here, we'll say ... props. Like so. And then in theory, basically, what's going to happen, and we don't see anything right now because we're not using the box anywhere. But basically what would happen is whenever we use this, we can pass in whatever padding, margin, whatever that we want out of this. We can clean this up, and then it'll get passed down, and then so on and so forth. Okay, so basically, now, let's see here. Let's deal with the stack. Okay, let's see if we can get an implementation of stack that doesn't use the incorrect thing. Cool. Okay, so that's easy enough. I think the rest of the components that it spit out for me all use box. So, but now we kind of can do some other stuff. So now we have our box. Let's go ahead and create our stack. Whoops. Maybe stack slash types.ts. And hopefully I've been calling this with an S, yes. And then stack.tsx. Now inside of our stack, oops, let's go into our types. Now inside here, we're gonna go ahead and let's import, whoops, import React node from React. Import, oops, our, maybe if I could type box props from box/types, and then import our theme. I think this is doing things slightly different, but it is what it is. That is incorrect. Import theme from our types. There we go, much better. Then we can say type and spacing equal to key of. And we probably could have done something similar to this, but it is what it is. Spacing. There we go. And then export interface, and then stack props extends, oops, extends our box props. We want to pass the same exact props as box, but I guess we're going to add a new one. Then children will be a React node. In theory, box props should already have children on it, but it is what it is. I guess maybe you don't necessarily need to pass. I think that might be the difference here, is that your box, I think children are optional maybe, because technically you could just have a box with nothing in it, which is kind of strange, but it is what it is. But now what we can go ahead and do is build this guy. So now we can go ahead and say export, actually import our stuff, import React from React. This one should be cut paste, import use theme. I don't think we ever even used use theme, to be honest, but it is what it is. Import box. I guess we might just need it in general. I don't know. Import, whoops, import our stack and props. So export const our stack equal to, and then here we'll have our children, we'll have our spacing, then we're going to set this to medium by default. I don't know if medium is correct. That'll be interesting to see. This will be React FC, pass in our stack props. I like to just do this, and then whoops, box props. Probably could have called that whatever. And we don't need to pass in that it's a stack props. It should already know. Const theme is equal to use theme. I wonder if we just have to call this on all these components to make sure that it gets brought in. I'm not sure. Const space is equal to theme dot spacing. That's why. I don't know why theme dot spacing isn't showing up, but it is what it is. We'll deal with that later. Const items is equal to react.children .to array, and then pass in children. I think it's also mad at us because we're not returning anything right now, so we'll kind of deal with it as we go. Return our box, and we'll go ahead and say box, whoops, box props. Break apart those box props, pass them in, and then so theme, it came from the wrong spot. Of course it did. Go and import this from our design system instead. And then, so spacing, I think, is a number. So we'll just keep this as is. And honestly, where does spacing even get used at? Margin top. I don't even think box takes in a margin top. So I'm gonna ignore this. I'm not gonna take in, like, honestly, like, I think we can just do like children and because the thing is, I don't even think box takes in a margin top. I think it's losing its mind. Like if we put margin top on this equal to, have to bring spacing back. And put in spacing. Yeah, this doesn't exist on here. This thing's going crazy. We can just add a padding horizontal on it. I'm gonna get rid of this. This kind of is a silly thing here, but it is what it is. Whatever. Still have this. We don't need theme anymore. Gonna clean things up a little bit. And then, so we'll still pass the box props, but then we'll go ahead and say items dot map. And then we'll have our children. I don't know why it does it like this, but it is what it is. And then index. If index is equal to 0, return child. Don't know why this is the case, but okay. And then otherwise, return a box e equal to index. Again, I don't know why. I don't know why we have, like, I don't know why it passed a margin top here. I see what it's doing, I guess. It's trying to add spacing. So I see like what it's doing, but I don't necessarily know if it's the right way to go about this. I think what we need to do actually is throw a style on this and have a margin top in the style and then have the spacing. And then pass in spacing that way. And then we can keep the spacing. So if we go back into our types, we can bring back spacing and add spacing back in here. And this will be a spacing. And then go back into our stack, bring spacing back. Let's see what they're doing here. And then here, margin top can just be spacing. Although this needs to, we need to bring in our theme again. So let's go ahead and bring our theme back in at the top. Const theme is equal to use theme. Make sure to bring that in from here. And then now instead of this needs to be theme dot spacing, and then pass in that spacing. And let's also make sure we do this. And I guess we're just wrapping that. That's fine. Okay. So basically, we'll just return the child in here. We're going to wrap it in a box with no background, and then we're just going to have a style with the margin top on it. And then we'll go ahead and bring in the child. That makes sense to me. So there's our stack. So then basically you can just pass in a whole bunch of children, and then it'll stack them and add spacing and stuff for you. I think we probably could have just added like a gap, honestly, to this instead of like a margin top. That might have also been, which I don't know if gap works that well in React Native, but I think instead of doing like a margin top, we could have just done a gap on this. And we can still call it spacing. But instead of a margin top, what if we just did there'd be a column gap. Then we can just do like a column gap of whatever. And pass in the spacing. That might work. Okay. So this avoids issues with fragments. Okay. Cool. You can center stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and do I think the row components next. I'm not going to get to building the hero, but that's fine. I think my primary goal for this quote-unquote video that I'm producing for this Freedom Tracker is going to be just getting the design system started. Then we can start building each page after that. So in theory, there should only be like this one and then like 5 or 6 videos after this, really. Okay. So there's our stack. Instead of doing spacing, we'll say, we can still call it spacing, but we're going to do a column gap. And then row will be like the opposite. Then row, we need to do the same exact thing. So basically, row is going to be something similar. So let's go ahead and create the row. They did the same thing here where they didn't include the type, but it is what it is. The types will be probably basically the same. Types.ts. Okay. Except this one has an align on it. So let's see here. Looks like you also did not include the types.ts file for the row component. Can you generate the entire component with types and using. Okay, let's go ahead and do this right. This one is also only using spacing, but I think their idea is that it passes the other thing using, like, it passes the alignment and stuff using the box props, I'm assuming. Okay. So this one will have a row gap on it. So then we'll say row .tsx. Okay, and then let's go ahead and import React node from React. Go and import our box props. Okay, and then let's go ahead and import our theme. I think what I'll end up doing is in between streams, I'm going to try to set up like a demos page that can only be gotten through the, like, I'm going to see if I can't figure out a way to only like get to a certain page based on an environment, and then set up like a demo page to see all of our design components and stuff in one place. So we'll see how that works, but let's go ahead and import theme. Type spacing is equal to key of, and then our theme and spacing. Export interface, and then we're going to have our row props. Extends our box props of our children, which will be a React node. And then we'll have our spacing, which would be an optional spacing. Terrific. Open up our row. Here we'll import React from React. And then let's see what other imports we need. Then we'll need our use theme. Whoops. Import our use theme. Like a type from our design system. We'll import our box. And then we'll go ahead and import our row props. I kind of wish we would have called box like container or something, but it is what it is. Export const row. Row makes sense though, because it's going to be like basically laid out in a row. All of our row props equal to, open this up, then we'll have our children, we'll have our spacing, and then we'll have our dot 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 box props. We might need to deal with a check to see if spacing is undefined, now that I think about it. So we might need to go back and kind of mess with that. We'll see. And then here we'll go have const theme is equal to use theme, and we import that from the right place this time. That's great. And we'll have our const space. We don't really need to do this, to be honest. We can just go ahead and say, get to our items, const items is equal to react dot children, and then dot to array, and then pass in the children from above. Then we'll go ahead and return inside the returnable box row, and then we'll go ahead and call this dot 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 box props, and that'll go ahead and set up the row for us. Then we'll say items dot map each child, each child and index. And since we're going to use a gap, really what we need to do is we need to put the style on here, and then style should be able to pass style. We might have to do it like this. Style, and then row gap will be spacing question mark, and then this would be theme dot spacing of spacing, or undefined. Kind of messy. I need to update the box, or not the box, the stack. Then we'll just go ahead and return a box with key equal to index, and then we don't care about margin left or right because we already have the row gap on it. So this cleans this up a bit, and this will go ahead and actually pass this in how we want it to. At least it should. We might clean this up as well. Well, quote unquote cleaned up. But now we need to do something similar. I'm gonna move this down to below here. There we go. We need to fix our stack now. So stack, we want to do the same thing. So we're going to take the style off this box, and we're going to pass it on here. We're going to have our style, and we need to go ahead and double check that column gap is even, or spacing is a thing. So let's see, I broke it. This, do this, do this, open that, do that. We'll fix this. And now we'll say spacing question mark this, otherwise undefined. We won't have a gap. Okay, and then we're going to We broke this. We're going to get rid of this if statement. Because then we don't have to worry about the top one. We can just use gaps. Like so. I think that's good. Out of coffee. Rip. Okay, so now we have a stack in a row. Now we can continue on. I don't think they scuffed the rest of these. Let's see. And then we can start building some of the other stuff. And we'll just use, I guess, box for everything. Be interesting. Instead of views. Because a box basically just acts exactly as a view, but we can add like cool background colors and stuff. Excuse me. Okay, now we have our row. Now it says we want to build a spacer. It looks like spacer also does not use the box. But center does. Let's build center really quick. And really, I don't know that we need to I'm trying to think if I even care to build a spacer object. Because like we already like our stack and our row already have a gap. And like I can add a row gap or a column gap to our whatever it's called. Like I can already add all of that if I wanted a space. So like I don't know that I need these other ones. I think these other ones are overkill. I think box, row, and stack are all we need. Box can do everything a view does. Row is going to be our basically our side by side, and stack will be how we stack things on top of each other. Like in theory, we should be able to like build a hero component now. The question is, do we want to stop here? I think this will be a very heavy, very heavy video at this point. I'm also concerned about how I ran mocks. And it's not kicking me into the other view like it's supposed to. So I'm a little bit concerned about... Oh, it's probably because I got rid of all of the auth, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Okay. I think this might be a shorter stream today. I think what I want to do Cause like I could play around and see like if our, like I could definitely just throw a box in here and see if it wants to work, right? So like I could throw a box and let's actually export the stuff out of our index real quick. So we can go ahead and say we are exporting our screen and our page container. Let's export star from our dot slash and then background gradient slash background gradient. Export star from, export star from dot slash, and then, oh my goodness, we'll have our box slash box. We'll export star from, and then we'll have our, we have already done screen, then we'll need to do row slash row, then export star from and dot slash stack, stack slash stack. Let's export all that good stuff. That's kind of like our basic layout in text. So now if we go into our index.tsx, we have our screen, which has like our background and all of our scroll view and stuff. So like now what we would do is like, we wanted like a box. We can import box from our layout. Then inside the box, we could have like a text, a P, variant can be like body small, I guess. And then we can go ahead and say like small paragraph. I don't know why I have link two links, but it is what it is. Small paragraph. Oh my gosh, paragraph in box. So it doesn't look like much right now, but now what we can go ahead and do is say like background color is off surface light. Now we probably want to set like a size to this. And I can see an issue we're going to have. We might want to take the padding off of our screen. And I wonder if we can put a height and width on this. So I think let's go ahead and say like we have a style on this. And then we'll say that the height now is going to go ahead and only be like 24. Okay, so that's going to be a problem. That will be a problem. Because now our background gradient is taking up everything. Not just like the size of the thing. I bet if we take off background color and if we say background color is warning. Oops, sorry y'all. Yeah. That's what I thought. Okay. Let's do this. I want to be able to use, the background gradient components to display or to component in the box component to have an off surface effect for cards. and hero sections. However, my current box, however, the current implementation is taking up too much space. I wonder if we could do... The problem is I don't think we want to wrap it in a view. Because like we could probably wrap... Let's give it my box implementation. I'm guessing it's gonna have us take I'm guessing it's gonna have us do like add in a view around the background gradient or something, which is gonna be fun. But let's see. Let's see. I'm lost. It's not under boot, it's not under dev, it's under home. There we go. I'm grabbing the code out of here real quick. And freedom tracker. UI. This should be the last little thing that we need to get over. The last little hump we need to get over. Design system, layout, our box. Open this with VS Code real quick. Wow. I might as well just set up Linux subsystem for Linux, which I think I have, but I'm not sure. Let's copy our implementation in here. And say, oh, the classic blah 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 problem. This is how you just fix it. Okay. Let's see what it says. Like I said, I'm gonna say classic issue. Yes, let's see. Yes, let's see. That's what I kind of figured it was gonna say. Figured it was gonna have us kind of do something different. Okay, so this is actually simpler than what we were doing, so that's cool. So it wants us just to kind of... Although I don't know that we need to do the absolute fill because it already has an absolute fill inside of it. But... So basically what we need to do... We can keep our is off surface. But we don't need our container anymore. So we can keep our const tone and is off surface. Const render. I'm gonna call it render off surface is equal to background color question mark dot includes off surface. Daughter's making noise, might have to get up. It's just snoring, okay. We can have our const tone. Oh, she's coughing now, terrific. Okay, and then we can still have our const resolve bg. Oh, I might need to get up. So now what it has us do is it basically we take our return out of this content. We'll leave. Let's go ahead and delete this container. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this view. We're going to yoink this guy. Okay, so then we're going to delete these. Don't need the container or content anymore. Format it. Okay. So now we still have our style, flex, display flex, padding, horizontal, padding vertical, margin, background color. We still have our line items, which I deleted at some point, which is cool. So flex direction, align items, be align. Okay, I gotta get up, y'all. Be right back. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up this last thing here. So we have our resolve BG, our align items, and then it wants us to throw an overflow in here. So then we'll go ahead and say overflow, and we'll say is off surface, is off surface. I don't know why that's not picking it up, but whatever. If this is the case, we'll say hidden. Otherwise, we'll say undefined. I don't know why is off surface. Oh, render off surface. It's because we called it something different. If we want to render off surface, we'll do that. We have our props, but now I think we open this. Yeah, then we open this like so. Let's open up the view. So now we are rendering it inside here. So then we'll say render off surface. And then if we want to render off surface, we'll go ahead and have our background gradient, and then our variant will equal to surface. And let's go ahead and match this to the rest of these. Surface, surface, and then our tone will equal to the tone that we set up there. And then style, this I think is overkill. Style sheet dot and then absolute fill. I don't know why this isn't showing up. Maybe because we didn't have a style on here. I don't know. I'm pretty sure in our background gradient we I'm pretty sure in our background gradient we already set the absolute fill. But I don't know that we need to set that again, to be honest. Then we can pass in the children here. We might need to say props.children. There we go. I'm assuming they expanded the props out of there. Yeah, we didn't. So if we want to render off surface, we'll do this. Otherwise, we'll just throw the props in there, I'm assuming. So now... Terrific. That broke everything else. Otherwise, we put children in here. Let's make sure we say props.children. Okay. That's better. Now, obviously, I don't need padding or anything like that in there, so it's kind of funky. But now, in theory, if we come into our index and now background, we say off surface background dark, which is would probably end up use. Okay, so now it's rendering both of them, which is no bueno. So now we need to do like one more thing in here, it looks like, in our box. I think we need to oh wait. They think that children are optional. Maybe children should be optional. We'll make children optional. And then inside our box, we don't have to pass the children. We can do this. That didn't work. Let's see what's going on with our background gradient. Styles.content, flex 1, relative. It has absolute fill on it. Maybe we still need the style, but I think the thing is, and we can pass style. So go back into style. style sheet dot. See, it doesn't like absolute fill here unless I'm getting the wrong style sheet. I might be grabbing style sheet from the wrong place. Yeah, it's not importing. Try this. So that fixed it, but it's mad about this now. That did fix that issue. Now, why is style mad? Register absolute something. Background gradient. Style is a view style. So what does style sheet absolute fill do? Let's see. I'm gonna say this implementation works, but my background gradient has a type error on style. Here's my background gradient component. I'm going to grab the background gradient really quick, and then once we fix this type error, I think we're good to go. We can start building like our cards and our hero sections and all of that good stuff. Okay. Debug this. That's what I thought. Now we want style prop. Okay. So this now would be style prop of view style. Update that. Now hopefully this doesn't break everything everywhere else. Now inside of our box, we can still see that we have like our card glass situation. And inside box, this no longer is mad at us. Terrific. Okay, cool. All right, so I think that's basically everything. And I think I'm basically ready to turn this into like actual components. I didn't think it'd be this much work to get all of this done, but I think I'm just gonna turn like the design, like building the actual design system like this into its own video, like the foundational. And then like the thing is I could go through this Figma and just start rattling off everything, but we don't need everything inside this page, right? I just kind of like started building some stuff and then went from there. It's like really what we'd want to do is probably start building components based off what's in here. So like our hero section, and then I don't really know if to call this like a hero section or not, but yeah, I don't know. But basically we'll have like our hero section, and then we'll have like, I don't know if we want to call this like a heading section or like, because like this is still kind of like a hero section, but this one doesn't necessarily have the background gradient on it like this one does. Like this one has our background gradient on it. Splash hero section, and then splash content. I don't know why I call it, because they're splash screen, I guess. And this has our off surface gradient light. I mean, maybe the overview has this as well. I guess we do call it overview hero. So yeah, like the hero sections are going to be different, I guess. And maybe we just like... So we need to kind of think about how we're going to break down the hero section and make it reusable. And the thing that kind of annoys me about this hero section is it looks like one of them is using the gradient and one of them's not. So we'll want to use the gradient for all of them. But we'll kind of go from there. But yeah, I want to make it so like, I guess we have like maybe, like we could just do like, we could just pass it children. But I feel like that's kind of being lazy. I would like to have it set up so it's like, okay, we have a top content or top title content or something. And like this one top is just like an image, but this one has a hero title image or something, right? So like, I'd like to have different styles, maybe. But the thing is, I guess this one is like a one-off. But this part's the same. Basically, I guess this one has some, this one doesn't. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out. These will be images. And so on and so forth. But I think that'll be what we work on next. What I would like to do is try to get through the rest of my Let's Build Twitter videos. And then come Wednesday, we'll be working on Let's Build Twitter here. We'll see if that actually is the case. But then that'll give me a little bit of time to start working on getting these videos rounded up. Because I have a lot of stuff to actually, I need to do all of the scripts. I need to do like all of that good stuff. I also have another project that's hopefully going to help me kind of generate some scripts. So I think that's going to be the path forward. We'll start working on the hero section, then also start working on some of these guys, like the inputs and stuff like that. We have our buttons and toggles and switches and all that. We need to decide what library we're going to use for this. I would love to build my own, but it's just not going to be feasible to build my own toggle or my own like calendar. It's just not going to be, it's just not going to work. I'm not going to have enough time. So, but yeah, so that's going to be it for this stream. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe. But this has been Ethan, our Unknown Coder, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you all for stopping by.